Grab some heroin and cuff yourself to your crush. This week's episode of Pluribus continues the journey of the world's saddest person. In this episode, we meet the mysterious man from Paraguay, learn more about the Joined, and a breakthrough that could reverse the Joined's control over humanity. But before we get into all that, make me the happiest man alive by liking and subscribing. We begin with our introduction to Maniosos Oviedo, that Paraguayan man Carol had a delightful chat with last episode.
Chinga tu madre, Quebron!
He's one of 13 immune individuals on Earth and also one of the most intriguing. Unlike people like Kumba, who have embraced their almost godlike status by getting the Joined to do his bidding, Manny's rejected it. He's boarded up his walls and refuses to eat any of the food left out for him. I'm also curious who this woman is. Every immune individual, with the exception of Carol, has had a family member take over the role of chaperone. For Carol, this responsibility falls to Zosia, so could this be a family member to Manny, perhaps his mother? Manny so distrusts the Joined he refuses to eat their meals, resulting in having to forage through his job's storage locker to find sugar packets and dog food. I like how he writes an apology note to his customers stating restitution will be made for having to go through their units. This is a man who has not given up hope that things can go back to normal. That's why I think he and Carol could eventually team up. Even though he and Carol got off to a rough start with their phone call, I don't necessarily think that was his intention. He truly believed who he was talking to was one of the Joined, hence how standoffish he was. It's only when Carol calls back and tells him to f*** his mother that he knows she isn't one of them. The Joined are physically incapable of showing that anger. We'll see him write down her name, or at least question what her name is. Carol Esterca. I don't think it's the literal Spanish translation, which would be, is Carol Turkish? Manny has in front of him a Kenwood HF transceiver, or ham radio. It seems as though he's going through each frequency, listening to see if anyone else is out there, giving them some time, then crossing it off his list. I also like the subtle addition of a bug zapper to his home. The Joined cannot harm a fly, and we'll even see on Carol's What I Know About Them board that can't kill, not a fly is one of her bullet points. Finally, how did the Joined not know of his existence until 22 hours after they took over the Earth? What was this guy doing? How did he remain undetected for so long? If you stick around for my trailer sleuthing section, we'll learn a little more about him. It's now 7 days after the Joined have taken over Earth. In the aftermath of the grenade fiasco, Carol returns home to find the Joined repairing it. It's so odd and kinda creepy, everyone happily waves to her. One of the individuals repairing her home is the actual mayor of Albuquerque, New Mexico, Tim Keller, who can also be seen on a sign in episode 1 when Helen and Carol land back home. On her whiteboard, we can make out her old notes for her latest Waikaro novel, which include discussions on whether or not she can kill Raban. Raban is the core of what drives people to these novels, and I believe her wanting to kill Raban is her way of wanting to be done writing these books. She gets no pleasure out of writing these stories and calls her fans of it dumb idiots. We'll see references to Shakespeare's The Twelfth Night. Both Twelfth Night and Pluribus involve gender-swapped characters. In Twelfth Night, the protagonist Viola survives a shipwreck and disguises herself as a man. In Pluribus, the character of Raban was originally supposed to be a woman, but Carol changed it to a man. In Twelfth Night, the character of Malvolio is seen as a big killjoy who hates revelry, while Carol in Pluribus is much the same. On a new board, Carol writes down the 5 things she currently knows about the Joined. 1, they're eager to please. They want to do anything and everything to make sure Carol is happy, even if that means giving her an atom bomb. This stems from their weird biological connection to her. In episode 2, we learned if Carol gets upset, it can induce seizures amongst the Joined. The first time it happened, it killed 11 million people. So there is a reason that the Joined would want Carol to be happy. It's in their best interest. 2, they cannot harm anyone, including animals and insects. Every meal that's been prepared for the immune have come from animals who have died of natural causes, and they won't slaughter an animal to make something for the immune. 3, they don't play favorites. One immune person's life is considered the same as another. We saw this at the end of episode 2 when Zosia has to make up her mind about whether to go with Kumba or Carol. 4, they're trying to change Carol. In episode 1, the Joined told Carol they're working on a way to turn the remaining immune into one of them. And last episode, we learned it could be anywhere from weeks, months, or longer for this to happen. 5, they're weirdly honest. At first, Carol puts this down as a question. She isn't quite sure whether the Joined can lie or not. This is when she brings in a man known as Lawrence J. Kless. The actor who plays him was previously in Vince Gilligan's Battle Creek. Carol's conversation with the Joined has a very specific goal. She wants to figure out just how honest they really are. Can they tell a lie? She starts by asking if they love her Waikaro books she actually despises. Not only do they love them, but they tell her it's just as good as Shakespeare. Obviously, these books are not as good as Shakespeare, but what the Joined have done is taken memories from people who adored her book to give her the answer they think would make her happy. Technically, it's not lying. Lawrence gives the example of a Moira McAllister, a woman who was going to kill herself, but by reading Carol's book, made her life better. They see Carol's work through Moira's eyes, and can do this because Moira is one of the Joined. But the truly painful revelation comes from what Carol learns about Helen. She asks what Helen thought about her personal novel, Bitter Chrysalis. This is the same novel Helen encouraged her to finish in episode 1. Helen thought it was just fine, and didn't even finish it. So why then would she want Carol to publish it? She knew it would make Carol happy, and in this way, Helen and the Joined are somewhat similar. They both live or lived their lives trying to please her. Carol returns to the hospital to visit Zosia and asks a question the Joined are unwilling to answer. Can this all be reversed? Remember that Carol just learned that the Joined cannot tell a lie. Zosia can't answer yes because it would go against her biological imperative, and she can't answer no because she can't tell a lie. So by her not answering, it lets Carol know a reversal is possible. Zosia's argument for turning Carol into one of them essentially boils down to, once you feel what it's like to be one of us, you'll love it. They believe this will make Carol's life better. But Carol is reminded of a similar situation growing up. Her mother sent her to Freedom Falls, a conversion therapy camp, believing it would make her life better. Carol knows the pain of someone making a decision for her, stating that it would be better for her. It was not. Carol goes on to devise this ingenious plan to coax out of Zosia how a reversal could be achieved. This involves her stealing some thiopentyl sodium, most commonly known in pop culture as truth serum. It doesn't really make someone tell the truth, it merely shuts down the higher functioning part of the brain, making the user lose their inhibitions. This is why when Carol tests it out, we'll see her being rather blunt on how she's sexually attracted to Zosia. In order to throw the Joined off her scent, she asks for heroin, something she experimented with in her college years. I also like how the hospital is named after St. Joan, a reference to Joan of Arc, a quote-unquote chosen rebel whose conviction puts her at odds with the powerful institutions of her time. Carol is our story's Joan of Arc, unleashing a crusade to restore freedom and individuality to the world. Carol puts the truth serum into Zosia's IV, hoping she'll answer the question, how can she put things back to how they used to be? You'll notice Zosia start to cry. It's this big conflict of interest for her, compounded by the fact she has this drug running through her body. She can't tell Carol the truth because it would go against her biological imperative, but by not telling her the truth, it will make Carol unhappy. It's not long before the hive mind realizes what Carol's doing, but Carol's taken the handcuffs from the police car and chains herself to Zosia. She knows that the Joined won't harm her. Carol desperately asks if it's a chemical or medicine that reverts this, but before she can get an answer, Zosia goes into cardiac arrest. Carol allows the cuffs to be broken and CPR performed. Now, I do think Zosia will make it out of this. However, I want to talk about what this thing is that will revert the Joined back to normal. Remember that none of the immune are doctors or scientists, so manufacturing some new medicine or vaccine seems highly unlikely. It could be something that already exists, but that seems a bit too easy. My guess it has something to do with Carol and our immune people's connection to happiness itself. We've already seen how Carol's emotions, particularly anger, have a physical effect on them. In what other ways can this connection between Carol and the Joined manifest? Now, to get a better understanding of where the show is headed, we're going to make our way into our trailer sleuthing section to see what might be in store. There aren't many new shots, so it's going to be pretty quick. Manny makes his way out of the office to Gran Canaria, Spain. We know this from the GC200 highway marker. It even looks like he might be embracing his new life with the joined in this fancy car with license plate El Fritz. When someone's on the fritz, it usually means it's not working properly. Is this a clue that something in his mind isn't quite there? A glamorous party at the Westgate Hotel in Vegas, where Koombas living the life. This is where he told Carol he was going as he loved Elvis, and this is where Elvis stayed. We'll see Carol in her police car. I wonder why she decided not to fly. Regardless, the joined know she is here. And that about does it for this week's video. Now I turn it over to you. What do you think will happen next? I want to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, and for more bad takes you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember, Daddy loves you very much.